I need you so bad.
And I need to be needed.
I don't need this.
Mended light. Hello and welcome to Ask the Therapist. It used to be therapist singular, now it's plural, and I'm so excited to have members of our therapeutic team with us today. Joining us is Chase Brewer and Jessica Moneo. Tell our fans who you are and what you specialize in.
Again, I'm Chase Brewer, and I specialize in healing from infidelity, trauma, and relationships.
I'm Jessica, and my areas of specialty are in particular healing from childhood trauma, inner child work, attachment wounds, and of course, healing from infidelity that we all specialize in as a team.
I'm just like so giddy that they're here. Okay, we're going to talk about codependent relationships. Yay, codependency. Codependency is, people throw that word around a lot, and then I don't think a lot of people know exactly what it is. Right. Codependency is one person desperately needs the other person desperately needs to be needed, like they like to fulfill that role. And this can bring people to some really unhealthy patterns. So leading out of the gate, any experiences with codependency or being in a codependent relationship? Let's get vulnerable and real right out of the gate.
So one thing I like to identify is knowing what your partner's behavior is, and if you're excusing that behavior because you feel that need to be needed. Overlook that behavior, that poor behavior.
So how do I know if I'm in a codependent relationship? One, do I excuse a lot of things because I can't bear the thought of if I call them out, they might leave me.
Right.
And then I'm alone.
Exactly.
Right? How do you think this, and this question for both of you, how do you think this plays into abuse patterns?
You begin to allow things that you begin to be okay with, that you excuse. Like, all this happened just once, it may not happen again, but then it happens again, and then you excuse that behavior again.
Yeah. And
before you realize it, it's carried over into a habit.
Things that you never thought you would tolerate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think exactly like you said. It's like you kind of start putting up with it a little bit at a time, and then you get a couple months in or down the road, and you're like, whoa, wait a second. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Why am I tolerating this? I know I shouldn't be. Which I mean then leads to boundaries and all that, which is a whole other conversation. But yeah, it's all of a sudden, okay, I'm tolerating or excusing things that I know I shouldn't because I don't want to lose my relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
And I end up blaming myself, I think is what happens a lot, is I get into this headspace of, if I'm the problem, then I can fix it. And I want to believe that the person that I'm with is safe and that they're trustworthy and reliable, so that if they're abusive or if they're mean or if they raise their voice or if they get violent with me, that's not who they are.
Right.
That the only reason they're acting like that is because of me.
Yeah.
Again, if it's my fault, then I can fix it. But what if I actually stare in the face, no, their behavior is their responsibility? Then I'm with an unsafe person. And I can't bear the thought of being alone. So now I'm facing up to, I'm in an abusive relationship. That's a bridge too far for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, for somebody like me who spent 14 years working with kids, then I start looking at it through the lens of childhood. And well, if that was a pattern in your house when you were young, that there's a fear of abandonment, rejection, or feeling like things are your fault, which we know kids are narcissistic in that sense that they think it's about them. Adult behavior, they see as a reflection of them or their worth. Then we tend to see that play out in adult relationships where it's like, okay, now I'm thinking, well, if my partner's acting like this, it must be because of me. So now I need to change my behavior.
Right. It really shapes one's belief system.
Yeah.
And it really affects one's self-worth.
I'm so used to taking ownership of this sort of thing, right? So you mentioned childhood attachment, right? And if children grow up insecurely attached and they're used to being blamed for a parent's behavior, or they're used to trying to fix things and make things right for the parent, that I something I've noticed a lot is that we recreate, even subconsciously, past situations where we try to win. So when I was growing up, I didn't have a romantic type, like blonde hair, red hair, brown hair, green eyes, blue eyes. None of that really mattered. I was just attracted to whoever I was attracted to. And then I fell in love in college with a girl who was like 5'1", brown hair, brown eyes. And this petite young woman. And broke my heart. Like, I wanted to marry her. It didn't work, so I was just devastated. And then the next 3 people I dated were petite, brown hair, brown eyes. And I thought, well, this is just my type. But I kept getting my heart broken. And I realized something. I'm like, hold on. Am I recreating this where I'm trying to win?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And this plays into, for a lot of people, why do people who've been abused as children get into abusive relationships? You would think that they would just run from it and flee from it. Well, there's a subconscious need. Like, if I can get the approval or the love of this type of person, then it's like I can heal all this that came before. Like, that's the subconscious. Do you think that's a wise play? Why or why not?
I mean, no. I think, to kind of piggyback on that too, is the nervous system, what's familiar. Like, it feels comfortable when it's familiar. So it's like, oh, I witnessed this type of behavior in my home. I'm used to that. That's what felt normal when I was a kid. So that's what I subconsciously seek out in relationships as an adult. So it's like kind of a 2-4 that, that we're trying to heal. Like you said, we're trying to, okay, if I can do it this time, if I can win, then I can heal. But also, well, my nervous system feels safe in this because it's familiar. And the problem with that, and I see it all the time with my clients, I've experienced in my own life, is what's familiar is not always what's best or healthiest. It's often what's toxic or unhealthy or repeating negative patterns. Mm-hmm. So my initial thought is no, that's not a healthy way to try to heal.
Yeah, I think it's far better to, so for me, I said, hang on, I'm going to stop trying to recreate this, and I'm going to start looking at who is the best fit for me, right? Alicia is 6 inches taller, and she's got green eyes. So I broke the cycle. No, but what it really comes down to, and back to the original question of, are you in a codependent relationship? So many love songs, so many movies, so many poems. I can't live without you. I can't survive. I can't breathe. And it's very romantic, and it captures like this adolescent angst. But at the same time, Jerry Maguire, You Complete Me, is romantic, but I don't think that's healthy. You Supplement Me is far less romantic, but it's much more indicative of a healthy relationship. So to the point of, are you in a codependent relationship? Do you feel like you can't survive without this person? Do you feel like you can't function without their approval? You can't function unless things are good. I mean, it is normal to feel stress if your relationship is undergoing stress. It's another thing entirely to completely shut down. It's another thing entirely where you can't take care of your own needs, right? It's so healthy to be an individual person with your own wants, your own desires, your own abilities, and then to bring someone to share that with. Than to be, I am wholly reliant on you for everything. The other side of that is the person who is dependent on. Why do you think people get into this place of, I need to be needed? Right? It's one thing to be wanted, or it's nice to have a purpose, but I think that's carried to an extreme where unless I'm needed by somebody, what am I doing with my life? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure if this is going into your question, but if I'm the spouse and that I'm being catered to, right? Why would I want to change? Right? I like the type of relationship that I have. And so my behavior is going to go unchanged, which can go into my spouse feeling that the need to feel needed and continue this unhealthy pattern.
Yeah. Over time, that's going to lead to resentment, though. The one who just gives and gives and gives and gives at a certain point is going to stop. Oh, this is nice to meet my partner's needs, and just like hold the phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'm the one doing the heavy lifting on this.
Yeah. And I always tell clients, if you start noticing that like your needs are always secondary, then it's like, do a little reality check there, because it's, and I tell couples, and I'm sure you guys do the same, that it's not your needs matter more or my needs matter more. It's our needs matter equally. Yeah. And like, how do we work together to make sure we're both getting needs met?
I would actually compliment the clients that see that, because they can then see that pattern of, oh yeah, I am putting other people's needs before my own, and this needs to change.
Well, and some of that is love. I mean, there's you put another person's needs before your own. That can be a beautiful thing, not carried to excess. What I like to say is, your needs matter more than mine can be healthy. Your needs matter instead of mine is not. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And your needs matter more than mine only works if you're both trying to do that for one another. You know what I mean? Well, and can this play out, this need to be needed, outside of just a single relationship? Is this a pattern that can show up in one person, but in several relationships that they have.
Yeah. Does that extend to your kids? Does that extend to your neighbors, your church community?
Which is
people asking favors of you.
Yeah, people pleasing.
This is people pleasing, and we see it, I'm sure, like, I know I see it with my clients all the time, where that need to be needed or sacrifice your own needs goes outside of your relationship into, like you said, with your kids, at work, family, friends. You're overextending yourself. You're never saying no, which that's a whole other.
We should do a whole video on that.
Yeah,
actually.
that's a whole other
We
topic.
could.
I do think what matters on that though is, are you saying yes to people? Are you helping people just because you want to? Or is it because I get my worth from that? So I can't say no, because then people will think less of me and then I won't love myself, right? If you truly love yourself, it's easy to say yes to things. It's also easy to say no to things. Like, I can't spread myself too thin. I can't commit myself to that. If you're struggling with self-worth, you're going to say yes to everything because you feed off of that positive reinforcement. Ooh, this is going to be a good video. Let's do that next time.
Yeah, lots to dive into.
If you enjoyed this Ask a Therapist video, check out How Long Should I Date Before I Get Married? That's right up there. Check out that video. Have you ever been in a codependent relationship? What was that like? Let us know in the comments below. And what questions would you like us to respond to in these Ask a Therapist segments? We love doing this. If you think you might be in a codependent relationship and you need support, you can schedule with Chase if you're in the state of Utah. You can schedule with Jessica if you live anywhere in the world. The links are in the description below. They are here to serve you, and they are badass.
And as always, keep shining.
Because we need your light.
Here's that video we were telling you about. It's right here. Click on it. Love it. Do it.